From MTN News, you're watching Montana This Morning.
A Bozeman man who lost his life fighting a wildfire gets a special homecoming honor. Coming up, we'll explain how you can take part. And crews are wrapping up work on a local wildfire. Coming up, why firefighters say there's no need to worry about hot spots that remain in the Brady Creek fire near Norris.
I think some of our weather for at least the first part of next week is going to help take care of some of that as well.
I was curious with just the rain that we've gotten overnight here, because Norris is just over the hill that way.
The rain isn't nearly the factor that humidity is. That's what happens when you have those rain showers come in. The humidity goes up. It's what gets us with those showers in the afternoon or those fires that build. That low humidity, when it drops down into those low teens and single digits, it just dry. Everything is already dry. There's no way to stop any of that. Well, the rain doesn't really put the fire, but that humidity that comes with it helps keep it from spreading. It keeps things moist.
That was a nice sized fire over there.
Yeah, it blew up pretty quickly as well. 11,500 acres on the Bear Creek. I think we'll have an update on that one as well. As far as an update on weather today, I'll give you some other numbers. 50s, all kinds of them out there, and some 40s even in Phillipsburg and Wise River. As far as satellite and radar goes, cloud cover is why we're in the 50s right now. Some moisture falling, our humidity hanging in the 70s and 80s for most of us around southwest Montana. As far as our air quality, there's a live shot on the Montana State University campus. Currently listed as moderate in both Butte and Bozeman, good in Dillon and West Yellowstone, and that's all really good. I think we'll probably all be in the good as this system works through in the afternoon. We'll continue to monitor that, and I have your full forecast in about 10 minutes.
Thank you, Chet. A processional is planned for today for a Bozeman man, Tom Duffy, who was killed fighting a fire in Oregon. The helicopter pilot's body will arrive at the airport here tentatively between 2 and 2:30 this afternoon. Duffy will be escorted then to Dahl Funeral Home by members of his family, the Gallatin County Sheriff's Office, Gallatin County Search and Rescue, U.S. Forest Service, and the Highlight Fire Department. The procession route will start at the Central Helicopter Hangar to Airport Road, then Frontage Road to North 7th on Interstate 90 to East Main, then to Highland Boulevard, then arriving at Dahl Funeral Home. Everyone is encouraged to pay respects during that time. Duffy was killed Monday afternoon when his helicopter crashed while doing bucket water drops in the White River Fire in Mount Hood, Oregon. And a tragic update to a story we brought you Tuesday. A 65-year-old man from Butte died after being hit by a pickup truck in Butte. Butte Sheriff Ed Lester says the man was struck by a pickup truck just after 4 p.m. while crossing Front Street at the intersection of Iowa Street. The driver of the truck involved in the incident is a 54-year-old woman from Butte. Police have not released the identity of the victim pending notification of relatives. And Bozeman Police Chief Steve Crawford is leaving the top cop spot for a new job with the state of Montana. Chief Crawford has accepted a job with the state of Montana's Department of Justice. Crawford will be the chief of the Narcotics Bureau in the Division of Criminal Investigation. He leaves in a few weeks after 26 years with the Bozeman Police Department. He's been the chief a little more than 5 years. Chief Crawford said in part in a statement, "I'm proud of the accomplishments of the men and women of our police department, where it's positioned now as well as moving forward into the future," end quote. And that you will find no finer group of professionals keeping the city safe. The city manager will appoint Deputy Chief Jim Veltkamp as the interim chief while the city starts the search for the next chief. Now, the Brady Creek fire, which we've mentioned earlier, has burned just over 1,800 acres and is 75% contained this morning. The cause of the fire remains undetermined, but officials with the Montana Department of Natural Resources Assist team say the fire is being mopped up along the perimeter and around structures. There are no closures or evacuations. However, the DNRC says there is still some internal smoke and heat present in the interior of the fire, and firefighters want the public to know they're aware of it and working hard to finish the job.
And we simply ask that the public be also aware that this is an ongoing project and that it will continue to demonstrate some heat within the interior, and to please not stop along the road and allow the fire officials to conduct their business safely. Now,
there was no growth in the fire in the last 24 hours. The Bear Creek fire west of Dillon near Lemhi is now approaching 11,600 acres. 262 people continue to work on the fire that was started by lightning a couple of weeks ago. It's now 70% contained. And over in Yellowstone National Park, fire officials report the Lone Star fire in the park was fairly inactive Monday, but picked up Tuesday and yesterday because of hot temperatures and gusty winds. Crews say they expect that fire to move close to the Grand Loop Road today. Lightning caused this fire. That's 3 miles south of Old Faithful. Now, there are 38 people monitoring the blaze, and it is now up to 182 acres. Those crews are not actively fighting that wilderness fire. Instead, they are monitoring it and preparing structure protection measures in case it moves toward any park buildings. Trails and campsites on Shoshone Lake and near Lone Star Geyser are closed as the road from Old Faithful to West Thumb on Yellowstone Lake. Now, 6:34 now this morning, the Republican National Convention wraps up tonight with Donald Trump officially accepting the Republican nomination. So what should you be on the lookout for, and what are Democrats doing to counter the president's address? Our Joe St. George is in Washington with more.
Tonight, the RNC comes to a close, completing a 2-week marathon of virtual political conventions. President Donald Trump getting one of his biggest television audiences before the debates begin in late September. His speech comes as the nation deals with multiple crises, a pandemic, protests in Wisconsin following a police shooting of a black man, not to mention a powerful hurricane striking the southern United States.
This is a serious storm. We'll be with you every step of the way.
Vice President Mike Pence addressing the hurricane during his vice presidential acceptance speech last night, while attacking Joe Biden in the process.
Now, last week, Joe Biden said that no miracle is coming. Well, what Joe doesn't seem to understand is that America is a nation of miracles.
One final theme to look for tonight, the Republican push for African-American men to vote for President Trump. Several prominent African-American leaders have spoken throughout this convention.
Republicans are the party that freed the slaves.
As for Democrats, Democratic vice presidential nominee Kamala Harris will also deliver an address from D.C. later today. After tonight, we'll wait for the polls to see if these past 2 weeks of conventions changed anything. In Washington, I'm Joe St. George.
Yesterday was Women's Equality Day, a day celebrating the adoption of the 19th Amendment, which gave women across the country the right to vote. In downtown Helena, the Equal Work Task Force was joined by Governor Bullock and Lieutenant Governor Cooney to celebrate the occasion. The governor renewed his equal pay executive order and extended the Equal Pay for Equal Work Task Force through 2022 to continue its work to narrow the wage gap. When the task force began its work in 2013, Montana women made around 32% less than male co-workers. Now in 2020, that gap has narrowed to 27%. Jen Ewell with the task force says the pay gap is a systemic issue that's affected each generation and it will take time to fully fix.
When you're talking about equal pay, you're not talking about any one behavior or any one person. You're talking about something that is literally in the water. And so what we know is that there are ways at which we can start to chip away at the pay gap, but it's going to take a long time before we finally are able to address all of the deep roots.
Since the task force began, 40 state employees have done wage negotiation training to ensure women have the tools to negotiate for a competitive salary. Well, the Bozeman Film Celebration will host the 3rd annual BZN International Film Festival starting this week, but this year the event will be virtual. The event begins today and lasts 10 days and will take place completely online. This year, the festival will show 20 Montana-based films. 11 films are produced by Montana State University alum or current students, and 44 are produced or directed by women. Viewers will have access to BZN-created content with exclusive interviews with filmmakers.
In order to get into the festival, there always has to be an underlying mission statement with the film, and then quite often we then have a conversation afterwards so that it will apply to things that people are dealing with on a regular basis.
Now you can learn how to buy a pass for the festival with a discount code by visiting our website.
It was a good time.
Good time. There's a
Great,
lot on there.
Amazing talent out there coming out of the Montana State University Film School, by the way. Good
yeah.
stuff there.
Absolutely. 6:39. Now this morning, a bachelorette party in Rhode Island leads to a cluster of COVID-19 cases. Coming up, the lesson health officials say everyone can take from the incident. But first, here's what's happening at 7 on CBS This Morning.
Good morning to you. Ahead on CBS This Morning, one of the strongest hurricanes ever to hit the U.S. made landfall in southwestern Louisiana overnight. Tony is there. We'll have team coverage of Hurricane Laura in Louisiana and Texas, and more on this catastrophic damage, and catastrophic is the word. Look at those pictures. We'll also talk with Texas Governor Greg Abbott and FEMA Administrator, his name is Pete Gaynor, on what they're doing to help people impacted by Laura. And we'll show you video of the hurricane's arrival. It was captured by storm chasers. Believe it or not, people actually go out in the storm to take these pictures, and what they say about the force unleashed by Laura. We'll see you at 7 o'clock.